good earlier morning, right? to
Yes.
to San Antonio. It's a pleasure to have you with me here in one more live session about uh, COIL and the COIL project that we are working on. And Maju, you can go ahead and start.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? This is a global transmission. Hayek will be live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the show.
So one more time, I'm really happy and honored to have you both here with me. Professor Pablo is from Alamo Colleges District in the US, and Lucas is our very own professor from High Global College, and also participating of this project is John Livingstone from Uganda Christian University in Uganda. So first of all, I would like to invite you to introduce yourself. Tell me a little about your home universities or the international connections that you already have made before getting in this core project.
Should I start?
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's first of all, it's good to be here to be talking with you all. My name is Lucas de Siqueira. I worked with Hayek. There's probably 1 year about now. I have already taught college algebra last semester. So my graduation is in mathematics. My post-graduation is also in mathematics. I'm a master in mathematics, and I'm going to be teaching statistics this semester. And I already had an experience with COIL, which is it was, I admit, at first something new for me because I had never done that before working with Hayek. But at first I thought the idea was very, very good. It was very interesting, and in fact, it is, because our first COIL project was very, very good. We did a collaboration with Bangladesh University with the students there, and we learned a lot from them. I think we could also give some of our experiences here, share our experiences here with them. And the students also find it very different. And it's very interesting because sometimes we cannot just go on and travel to that country, but we can actually learn a lot from that country just by doing projects like this. And I think that's the main goal. Instead of doing interchange traveling, we can learn the most we can just by doing this kind of project. So I look forward to this next project we have for the semester.
Okay. Look, Lucas did a great job explaining, the purpose of this project, to which I am very honored to be part of, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I mean, these institutions in two different places, Brazil and Uganda. In my case, my name is Pablo Camacho. I'm an economist, all the way from bachelor to the PhD in economics. Uh, I teach at Alamo colleges, which is a district of different community colleges. I reside actually in Palo Alto College, which is one of the colleges in the district, and I teach economics and the social sciences. Uh, what I can tell you is that this is actually my very first college experience. I went out of academia in 2019 into the industry, and when I came back, it was all different. my experience with international students was always there, not only locally, but I also have taught in Mexico, and I have also participated in exchanges in Spain. So I know how to do this. But the whole COIL experience, I gotta admit, it was new to me. The good thing is that in my college we have a dedicated team just to do that, who have been very supportive. And also, I took a workshop of our college to know about it. But this is going to be the actual, real. This is for real things. So I really appreciate that. And again, the goal, as Lucas said, is what we want is to open the minds of our students to different ways of saying things and different ways of how things work. So many times we're talking about the same topic, the same issue, but it's not only the way we think about it, they are different, but also the environment where things takes place is different because you have different regulations, for instance. So that's what I want to bring to my students. As Lucas said, this is very interesting project because they don't have to, move out of their locality. Some of them may not have the financial ability to do that. So I think this is a great opportunity for my students. I'm looking forward to bring this new perspective, not only from a mindset, but also for how things work in different countries. And that's the purpose of my involvement in COIL.
That's wonderful, and I'm happy that we can bring to you the the real life value of the COIL project. Is it your first then?
Yes, the
Yeah.
first actual one. I have been doing trainings, and I have had other another project that I was about to launch, and then at the end it didn't work. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes, but with all of that, we are learning, right? I mean, sometimes we have time zones differences. We have challenges in getting that included in our own learning contact, the learning context or learning outcomes, right? But you already brought some of the value of the core projects up while you were talking, like getting to know another country when you actually are not able to travel, or even get in contact with another culture. So deepening that question a little, where you see the greatest value, where you what are you expecting for this next core project, for yourselves and for the students?
Well, may I go first? Okay.
Yes, please.
So I see that students that do the COIL projects have great opportunities to have contacts, mainly contacts with students or professors of other countries or other universities. And this is good not only now in their academic life, but later on their professional life if they need something, some contact in other countries. Another thing I find very good, very interesting about this project is that, for example, here, this core project is a mix of statistics, which is the subject I'm teaching. So the thing here is that with the COIL project, they're not going to learn only statistics, but they're going to have some um, perspective, some other views from other kinds of subjects like economics, which is the area of Professor Pablo. So it's very good should they broaden their view, their perspective about not only academic knowledge, but also about professional areas that they can work on, they can perform. So it gives opportunity to know other cultures, other um, areas of expertise also. So this is a very good project. These are only some of the opportunities and values of COIL project?
Yeah, I like that Lucas goes first because he has all the right points, so I just have to add some to it. He has more expertise than I have, and both it seems we both have been recent hires in our institutions. He said 1 year, I'm also 1 year, but he has already prior experience in call. But I mean, I second everything that Lucas said. I just want to give you a couple of examples of how important is this expanding the mindset of our students, understand differences. So one thing we were discussing in one class about fixed and variable costs. And then everyone said, well, yes, of course, labor, wages, salaries, these are flexible. And then I have a student from Germany saying, no, no, in my country is not variable, it's fixed. So okay, so tell us about that. And I knew already about that, right? But this is the type of thing that students get interested in. And one time I was in Spain and I was with a group of students, and they were saying like the U.S. open free markets and so on and so forth. So you don't have minimum wage, and I said, what are you talking about? It's like there is no minimum wage in the U.S. I said, of course there is minimum wage. There is a federal minimum wage, and then states have minimum wages. So I went and talked to them about that. So again, these are little things, but that students sometimes take for granted. They read it, heard it from somewhere, and they get stuck with that idea, and it's not. Yes, labor may be very flexible in the United States, but in Europe it's not. And that's actually one of the main things that it has happened in Spain the last decade, trying to make the labor market more flexible. So that type of thing. So it is the same problem. We may be talking about the same data, but the context of how things work in each country are very relevant to how we do the analysis. And as Lucas said, I'm very interested in doing interdisciplinary collaborations. So in this case, it's not three different countries working, but also two different uh, 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 areas of knowledge are taking place here, economics and statistics. And there is a lot of things that statistics is a tool that is very handy in pretty much all fields of knowledge, and of course, economics is one of them. So I think this project will be very interesting for students in both statistics courses as well as economic courses.
Yeah, and I mean, you both were talking about transdisciplinarity and cultural awareness, and getting confronted sometimes with something that you, uh, let's say, prejudice or preconceptions about another country, right? Like understanding that things in a particular country work in a way. Different from what you actually imagined or from what you have seen. What one of the COIL project we had last semester, I think students used a lot of artificial intelligence, which is not a problem by itself, but it's a problem if you're not critically analyzing what you're finding in AI. So they would go for the prompt and they would do like it would question uh, students. So how are things really in the U.S. or in Brazil or in Bangladesh or in India? And they would find out really that maybe what they find in ChatGPT or any other AI tool wouldn't really represent fully the image or the context or the culture of the other country. But tell me, I'm going to take back a little on what Pablo was saying about the importance of COIL and understanding different contexts. Pablo, you have a lot of industry experience, so where you see the value maybe of COIL projects for skills that students would develop to actually that be prepared or more prepared for their professional lives.
That's a very interesting question because I find that very useful in what is now called soft skills. I mean, whatever comes that the term soft skill, I know because it's very relevant. Uh, so when I initially went out of Mexico, I'm really from Mexico, and went and do my grad studies in the US, I have this cultural shock in many areas, right? And then I learned a lot, and all that I have learned has been very helpful to me to address individuals from different backgrounds. Even in the US, and they appreciate that because when they come to the US, they try to assimilate to the customs in the US. But then, I understand, for instance, some people from Asian countries like China, like, they may ask you a question, and then as soon as you give the piece of information that they needed for them to complete the answer, they want you to stop, and I respect that. So instead of giving them the full explanation, I read their faces, I read their feedback, and I say, okay, you got it. So that's enough. That's enough. Perfect. That's it. In contrast with some individuals from Latin America, like myself, we many times will like to be explained in more detail, and I get that, so I can do that. So remembering holidays is important. So even in your market, in the market, we do not, go by their holidays. We can always go and say, what, by the way, congratulations for Diwali, for instance, for people from India. So all those things are very relevant because that makes you just a cultural, not only aware, but also sensitive, and the other part does appreciate that. So that's what I can tell you. It's been very useful to me because that pretty much separates someone from the rest. Just being aware and being mindful and recognize those little things. People do appreciate that a lot.
In industry, in real life, in cultural adaptation, right? And which brings me back to something that Lucas said before. Lucas was talking about a COIL project and maybe challenging the challenges that they faced in the first semester. Uh, Tell me or tell us, uh, share with everyone what you feel has been like a most impactful experience of yourselves, either in COIL or in international collaboration. Does it really need to be COIL? As I mean, Pablo is just the first experience of COIL in real life, but you have other international experiences, and I'm sure so does Lucas. So, Lucas, if you want to share a little about the last edition and or any other experience that was really impactful for you.
Sure, Hannah. So I speak for myself. When I have all my experiences, there's one thing that impacts me the most. Probably Professor Pablo agree because I think he has gone through the same thing. But what impacts the most is culture for me, the cultural difference, the cultural thinking. And I have gone abroad sometimes, but not never for academic purposes nor professional purpose, only for pleasure. But the things that I admire the most when I go around is culture, how people think, how people live, and how people do things. And that's interesting to analyze because some things that are uh, you don't imagine, actually, some people do that sometimes better, they do in a different way, and you don't imagine those things. And on COIL, we did see that because our last COIL project was with Bangladesh, and they are a country very close to India, so they have a similar culture, but with some differences. And it's I cannot describe the difference between Brazilian people and Bangladeshi people, because the religion is different, the history is different, the music, the sports they practice. So learning these things is very, very interesting. Is one of the things I find most interesting at this project. And although we know some things about uh, United States culture, and we're probably going to learn a lot more about that with Professor Livingston too. So maybe we cannot even compare with Uganda, because to be honest, I don't know much about Uganda. So I look forward to know about their culture, their ways of living. So these are the most impactful things students can expect from this project, in my opinion, is cultural.
Would you like to add to that, Pablo?
I second that. As I said, Lucas, I like that he goes first. He touches all the right bullet points, the main ones. So I think one of the questions that students from Texas in particular will be asked is going to be about, I guess, our president Donald Trump and the way he approaches things. And it's very interesting. I just want to mention something else. So this is, I think it was back 2015, 16. I was doing a research stay in Madrid, and then some colleagues start asking me like, "You're not afraid to go back to teach in Texas?" And I say, "Why?" So, because we heard that you can pass a law that now, I mean, you can carry weapons, concealed weapons in the United States, in Texas. And now, at that time, they were now allowing to do in the campuses. So I say, your students are going to be with weapons. And you say, yes, but there's a regulation. There are different ways to go about. There is some place where they cannot go and carry weapon, and they will carry weapons going to have to be concealed and so on and so forth, right? So, as I said, there are many times they hear information about what happened in one country, in one state, and then not all the information is provided. So, of course, when there is no information, people tend to fill in those gaps of information, right? So they may have questions about what happened in the United States, like the example that I gave you, and I'm sure they're going to learn a lot from my experience. Or not that's not how things work. Yes, it sounds like it's scary and so on, but there is actually some regulations. Like, no, we're not crazy. So yes, it's different than your country, but it's probably not that bad as you're thinking, or the information that you're getting. And the good thing is that they're going to be hearing this from firsthand people who live there, and you more likely the students from my country will learn about the different ways of think about a particular issue. So one student may say, well, about this policy thing is right. Somebody else will say, what is same old thing. Who cares? And somebody will go say, what, I'm actually think it's a bad idea. This is my reason. So again, it's as you mentioned, cultural awareness is very important, but also information that is going to be exchanged among the students in this project.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if you want to share a little what you are up to, what you will do with our students. What is the project about that you are going to propose to our students next semester? To your students, to our students, I'm saying, like, to the students that are going to participate in the COIL project.
Okay, so uh, I have the project open here, so but I remember some things. As we mentioned before, I'm from mathematics. I'm going to teach statistics, and Pablo is from economics. So we're gonna try and mix those two things. We're gonna try and see uh, economics in with statistics in a statistical point of view on all three countries, things on all three countries. we're gonna have some meetings to discuss some things. The first is one of the most important. We're going to discuss cultural things. So students are going to be able to talk to students from other country, discover anything you want to find out, like things you find interesting, like music, sports. That's usually what I ask to other people on other countries about jobs, the wages, and we can discuss all of that on the first meeting. And we're gonna have two other meetings where we're going to discuss. One of them, we're going to discuss economics, like some ideas we had for activities are like employment rate, stock market, inflation rates. That's more Professor Pablo's area, so I'm gonna let him talk about that later on. And we're gonna have data collection and analysis. So we're going to discuss how each country collects data, how do they process that data, they analyze those data, and we're going to discover how statistical point of view is different in each country. So not necessarily we're going to talk, we're going to um, research our own country, but the other country, which is even more interesting. So these are some of the things we're going to discuss.
Yes, as Lucas was saying, and we mentioned before, it's an interdisciplinary project. It's going to be a blend of statistics and economics. And also, as I mentioned before, stats is a wonderful tool that is applying all fields of knowledge. And Lucas mentioned some of the economic indicators that we're going to be looking at includes the inflation rate, unemployment rate, and this is a live transmission and this is a live project. So I want to bring some suggestion to this live idea, to this live project. A week ago, so let me just give you some context. There is in the US, it is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, uh, that the one that collects information and process the calculation of inflation rate and unemployment rate. Okay, and as Lucas knows, and our students are going to know, uh, there is a methodology to do that, right? So there are surveys, so they are sent out to businesses, responses are collected, then the responses are processes, these questionnaires, information is collected, gathered, analyzed, and then it is produced the outcome that you're looking. One of them is the unemployment rate. Well, last Friday, there were some latest numbers, and the next day, the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the person in charge of doing all this process and providing this information, was removed by the president, and that has created a lot of turmoil, put it that way, right? In some areas, because why was this person removed, so on and so forth. So I think it could be interesting. Again, going along with what Lucas was saying, there is a statistical methodology that is followed all the way from setting up the surveys, sending the surveys out to whom that is the sample, then how they respond that surveys, how that responses get collected, analyzed, and so on, right? So, and Lucas was saying, much of this methodology is actually international. So countries have to follow certain guidelines to do that, right? So if you have one head or a different person heading an agency that collects that information, because it shouldn't be an issue because the methodology has to be the same, regardless of who's heading the agency. And again, this is something that I hope we could, at least touch on. And again, I think Lucas will be the most qualified person to, talk a little bit about the methodology. And again, we're going to give the approach of how important is these numbers that are produced, effectively employment numbers, inflation rate numbers. These are numbers of the stock market, for instance, something that Lucas already mentioned before. They pretty much are waiting and trying to be ahead of it. So when the number that comes out is not aligned with what they're thinking, then the markets move. But again, that's the type of project that we'll be talking about in this COIL efforts.
Sounds very interesting. And well, when you think about the students that will participate, what do you think they get out of it? Like in the end, what you are expecting that they will get out of this interdisciplinary and intercultural project that aligns statistics or does applied statistics to macroeconomic tendencies?
That's a very interesting question because many times we are kind of placed in a silo when we go into some fields of study. And many times we lose track and we think only one way. And that's good. That's part of the training. Like, you need to use your own ways of analysis. But at the same time, you should be aware that you're not alone. So even if it is marketing, or if it is engineering, or if it's statistics, whatever the field is, it doesn't matter how important your field is. It's not the only field. All of the fields are important, and all of them collaborate with each other. So being mindful of that is very, very important for me. That needs to understand. So even if you think like, oh, stats, it's math, Lucas was saying, it's a field with the math, and that's difficult. And I am more like in the arts, or maybe I'm more. Look, if you're studying economics or you're in business, you need at least have an understanding of how that tool is used and how relevant it is. So you may not know the ins and outs, but you need to know the good things about that field, in this case, it's stats, and how you are using it. Even if it is just in terms of information that you're getting, you have to trust that information. And the trust of that information is based on the methodology. And that methodology has been developed by a mathematician, in particular, and a statistician. So I think that for me is very important. Again, the interdisciplinary content of the code project for me is at the same level as the cultural and global aspect of it.
Yeah. Professor Pablo talked about mathematics, and there, like a mathematician, I think I can say that there's one problem in mathematics that I don't like. It's sometimes mathematics lives for itself. Sometimes it doesn't care about the problems of the world. Mathematicians do mathematics because it's fun, and not because they want to apply it to anything. But the bright side on statistics is that everything in statistics can be applied, or is applied, or was created to be applied to something in the real world. So we're going to try and do this application with economics, which is a very common, very used application in the real world. Governments do that, companies do that. So we're going to try and do that application and show to students that statistics is not some abstract concepts of mathematics that usually mathematics is. So we're going to try and apply that and see how useful it can be wherever they go, whatever they work with, because almost everything now is data collection, data analysis. Uh, s- uh, all companies want to sell, so they need to collect data, they need to analyze that data so they can sell more, they can profit more. So sports teams do that too. They collect data about their teams, their opponents, and they analyze that data. So we can do that with a bunch of of ways, a bunch of different scenarios. And we're going to try and do this with economics. And Professor Pablo gave a very good example that this week, that head of statistics there in the US was fired, and the president was not very happy. But what what is his fault? So we're gonna try and understand that and see what side is right or not, or not gonna try and talk about politics, but just see the mathematics and the methodologies about statistics is involved in the process.
And there you can see how applied statistic is, right? Sometimes you find data. I mean, I myself, I'm a psychologist, right? Sometimes you find data in psychology that you're not quite happy about it. You know, you were expecting to get another result, but just people do not behave the way that you were predicting they behaved, you know? And so you cannot show that with your statistical analysis, but that's just a curiosity, which brings me to one of our last questions. Is there maybe a curiosity that you would like to share about your countries, where you are at, or where your native countries? I mean, Purple was saying that he originally is from Mexico, but he came to now to the US. It's already been some time, so I don't know if you want to share curiosity from Mexico or from the US. So feel free, and for Brazil, maybe Lucas, if you want.
Okay, go first, I guess. Uh, that's now, honestly, now it has been, I've been in the US now for almost 28 years. So sometimes I get confused with what is from which side, because in Mexico there has been, especially from the north of Mexico, so there is a lot of exchange, not only in terms of trade but also in terms of customs. But one thing that for me was kind of shocking when I first went to the US is when I write, we used to write about a topic. I started with, I'm going to write this way and it's going to be linear this way. And then, but as I went along, I started spotting something. Oh, that's interesting. So let me talk about that a little bit. And then I move one back, and then, oh, it's interesting. Let me talk about that. And in the US, is to really respect, you're going to go from point A to point B. And if it along something is interesting, well, then probably you want to write about it in a different thing, in a different paper, not about this, because this paper is about this, going from point A to point B. So that was interesting. But then I started seeing that the way processes work were kind of similar. So sometimes when you talk about more lean or efficient ways, when I found and see something that was developed originally in Mexico, and you say, well, it's not like it is bad. It is like, at some point they are touching on things that they shouldn't be paying that much attention, and they are using efforts and resources to address an issue that is not really crucial for this specific project. So if they could get a way of, not spending effort and resources on that, they will have a more lean and efficient process. That's one of the things. Uh,
Well, since my academic life has only been here in Brazil, I don't have other lives to compare, or professional work. So I thought about sharing with you guys about Brazil's culture or common knowledge, because I know there are some misconceptions about what people think about Brazil. Brazil is a very big country, almost like the U.S. So we have a lot of different places, different cultures inside Brazil. So, for example, we have the Amazon forest, which is very famous, but that's a very inhabited area. Most Brazilians do not live there. Some people think that, I don't know why, but we actually have very big cities here in Brazil. Uh, for example, I live in the south region of Brazil, which is cold. Some people do not believe there's cold here in Brazil. They usually think when they hear about Brazil, they think about soccer or Rio de Janeiro. But there are some places here in Brazil where the landscape is very different. We have mountains, we have plains, we have beaches, of course. So that's what's we're known for. The forest, the rainforest there in Amazon. But here in the south region of Brazil, we have a lot of pines, which is not very common there on the north of Brazil. There's a tree, which is a different kind of pine tree. It's long. The I forgot the word in English, but there are not a lot of leaves. It's not a lot of leaves like the tree used for Christmas, for example. But it's a pine tree, but it's common only here in the south region of Brazil. It's a very good wood. For example, people use to make furniture and other things. And here in the south region of Brazil is mainly populated by European ancestrals. So we have a lot of people who came from Germany, Ukraine, Poland, Italy. I don't know. I think that's the most of it. So I don't know if people know about that, but these are some interesting facts about Brazil, curiosities.
Very nice. And it will be nice. It will be wonderful for the students from different countries to hear about and learn about differences and what their curiosities or differences or similarities in the different countries. I myself have to hop on to the next live. So I thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing. And let's make a great project.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank
Bob.
you. Have a good
Have
one.
a great day.